Hello, and welcome back to the definitive Starship review series without access to a proper table, where today, say it with me, it's the Titan! Yes, today we are looking at actually both of the Titans that Eaglemoss reviewed. The old, original design, although it's hard to differentiate the two, that was made for I think it's just called the Titan, the book series about the Titan made way back in 2000 something or other. And of course, the lower decks rendering of the Titan, which is I was very happy to proclaim the day it aired, the Titan. It's not just the Titan, it is the Titan. And yeah, that's my moment, my old moment of I got into Star Trek. It was done by the time I got into it. I didn't grow up with it or anything in that sense, or the sense of someone who grew up in the 80s. But it was my first, kids these days will never understand that moment properly. It's my little best of both worlds kind of thing. But yes, the Titan and the Titan. We're probably going to do things a little bit differently if you're familiar with how I review these ships. Just trying to deal with how to deal with Eaglemoss not being around anymore. In fact, I think this may be the last model Eaglemoss ever produced. There might be a special edition that kind of beat it out, but to me, this is the last one I'm pretty sure they ever produced, at least the last of any significance. But yeah, we'll probably just kind of look at the ships more. We're not going to do the scene by scene. I'm not going to have the affiliate program this. I can still get the links. I don't think there's any point. But yeah, we're just going to kind of look at these ships. But with the aid of the models still, because hey, that's what we do. And yeah, the first off, a very Starfleet Titan. I think this one doesn't have a lot of the detailing the actual art for the book did. Because if you didn't know, the Titan is one of those fan designs that has a very storied history of sort of canon. I mean, the Titan was canon, but the Titan is this ship was never really canon until Lower Decks. It was never canon. They referenced the Titan, and even then, for most of TNG, it was the ship Riker would have in the future. It was alternate timelines or fake imagination things. Riker commanded the Titan until Nemesis, when Riker actually took command of a ship called the USS Titan, and then after Nemesis, when they started doing the books and stuff, I've never read the books, but about the Titan, they had a competition to design the Titan, and some fan came in with this, and is always one of the fans who just really understands and gets that Starship design. Such a lovely, iconic design that people adored. Made its way to Stowe, Star Trek Online, and eventually into Lower Decks Season 1. Uh-oh. Yes, my model has seen some wear. I actually bought a better model. Well, not a better, but intact model of the Titan. I bought this on eBay. Or something. And then later, when it was still a limited run, there weren't a whole lot of these, it was kind of hard to get. There was someone selling a good 30, 40 ships on that Facebook group, and I had none of them except the Titan. And he was trying to sell them all in one go, and there were 10 people who was I want it, but I have the Titan. And shockingly, because it was a hard to come by ship at that time, but everyone seemed to have it. And when I got there, I was hey, I kind of want it without the Titan, but if you won't sell it to me without the Titan, I'm gonna buy it anyway, because it was an amazing deal, even with the Titan. But I traded that one for something. I think I traded it for two things down the line. But yeah, if you had a Titan and loads of other ships from that era stolen from under you, that was me. You should have bought the Titan in that bundle. But of course, this is a rather traditional Starfleet vessel. And I mean, it really does come out of that they probably designed when they were fighting the Dominion War, that slightly more militarized, or at least military conscious Starfleet design. Even though, yes, the Titan is a science ship. We got the Lower Decks version, which I didn't really notice until the second watch through, because God, I was literally, I was watching it in bed, and I gotten out of bed, and was jumping up and down, it is the Titan, the Riker, Deanna, everything. God, that was fantastic. That was a fantastic finale. Well done keeping that under wraps. But it's actually decently different from the original Titan, or the original design, and that's very purpley blue. And it's turned it into a design that I still very much love, and I don't really think of them as two different designs to me. I mean, it's just the Titan, but it definitely kind of made it a ship that has good angles and has angles that aren't so great. And there's a fair few of those in Star Trek. I mean, it's hard to get a truly all the way around looks great design. Like the original, I'll call it the original for the sake, the original in Lower Decks. The original Titan design, I think, was that, but the background color is this purple that's very, it's very primary color to have as a background color. It's like a very main color kind of feel. And I guess the blue phaser strips, that actually works. It's in combination of everything else. You kind of have your main color, the dark gray bits, is like the backgroundy kind of color, and then your primary color is the background color. It's an odd design. Normally you'd have actually something like this, where it's the light gray and the dark gray. It fits more with Lower Decks' animation style, I guess, but even in the show, if you haven't seen this scene since you were boiling with excitement about the Titan and Riker and whatnot, go back and watch it, because even in the show, it does have some angles where it's like really purple, and it does feel kind of weird, especially with how it glows in the show. But still a fantastic design, and I am very glad I picked this up. I mean, I was gonna pick it up the moment I was able to, but I'm very glad that was before Eaglemoss went under, because I suspect this won't be the easiest model to get a hold of nowadays. But yes, let's take a look at it. You got a kind of Enterprise E Sovereign class saucer proportions. Nowhere near that big. Actually, is it? I don't think so, just looking at the bridge and window wing, but it's a bigger ship than I think it is the Titan. I know that much. But yeah, very much that era, just speaking to the Sovereign class. Even looking at it, I got it just off screen over there. Like the way the engines work, that is very Sovereign actually. This is why I like doing these reviews. I noticed stuff like that I didn't before. But yeah, with the sort of Akira-esque, many ships have this from this era. Protecting the bridge in some manner will still... It's not a window. I was gonna say give visibility. Modern Star Trek corrupting me. It's got that protective, it just speaks to the era. You've got your sciencey module, which is the main bit of the Titan to me. It's not uncommon to saw a sciencey module. I don't actually know. I know the term for these, but it's escaping me at the moment. Just with the lovely curves going up, really adds a lot to this model. Without that, well, here, as I said, this model is a bit broken. Without that, it just doesn't look as good. Actually, it looks kind of like a flat Enterprise D when you do that. That's weird. That feels more Enterprise D to me than Sovereign, despite what I was saying earlier. But that just adds so much. That makes it a good design. And yeah, of course, Enterprise E style escape hatches and just the general windowing, loads of windowing, which makes it's a big ship. If you go look up like size charts and whatnot, this feels more kind of what it is in my head size-wise, but it does feel, I guess, a little small from how the windows and the bridge make it sized up. It is a science vessel. I guess it's probably like some sort of Voyager successor, Intrepid class successor, the Lunar class. It's kind of Starfleet's return to science after the war and stuff is what it is. So it is going to be, I guess, that kind of Voyager successor. Well, I guess Voyager's long range. I don't know. I like the ship. It can hold its own, but it's a science vessel, kind of like the Galaxy class. I guess that's what it is. It's kind of a Galaxy class successor, post Dominion War. You've got I was gonna say pretty basic nacelles. You don't actually. It's a pretty kind of flat design, just with the glow there. Of course, NCC 80102. God, that's how you know it's the future. It starts with an 8. Anyone else remember those days? Like, this is how you knew this was the symbol of post-Nemesis content, is registries that start with an 8. And of course, United Federation of Planets. But then you got the interesting kind of sticky out lipstick nacelles. They're sort of protected, but they're protected from the inside of the ship. I guess that's shielding, maybe? Radiation shielding. It's always been kind of vague. Cue the USS Shron, how dangerous the nacelles are. And of course, the Enterprise D, people work in the bloody things. But it's just an interesting, interesting little divot here, a break in the standard nacelle structure. And then actually kind of interesting on the inside too, with your little bump. Nacelles glow. It's, what's the word? Corrugated. It's corrugated on the back, which I think looks quite nice. More escape hatches, of course, for when Riker doesn't quite love his job. Warp core. Well, I feel like I haven't seen one of these in ages. Like, this to me is what says this is a classic Star Trek design. Even, does the Cerritos have it? I'm gonna have to look at a lot of my new models. But this is where the warp core gets ejected. And it's like such a key thing of Starfleet design. I've only just clocked, I don't think I've seen one of those in ages. It's the little things that really make something a Star Trek ship. I've kind of talked about it in my 32nd Century ship reviews, which are probably too big to see the warp core ejection port. That's the problem. Modern Star Trek doesn't have these things. They don't use that technobabble anymore. I don't know. I'm losing what these are called. But yeah, you got the big windows, some cafeteria, arboretum. Like, hey, that's how you know it's a science-y vessel. It's got the big windows for some useless vanity room. And then let's just flip it back over. Loads of nice little windows around here. More UFP stuff. And then, yeah, loads more windows. This is kind of more like it. Still feels a little short. I guess if you're calling these decks. Yeah, the saucer is pretty thick. Oh god, I hope I've been good with my camera angles. I'm standing in a weird position for this review. But you've got what I call the science domes. I mean, it's a science ship. Makes sense. And a very protected deflector dish. I like that deflector dish. Rather simple on the model, I guess, here. What does this guy have? Basically the same thing. Maybe the Titan's just like that. Yeah, it is. It does the job. It's so protected. Like, it's kind of this angle is the only one you'd see it, but it's definitely a deflector dish there. And just lovely plating and panel work. And this is kind of what Star Trek Greebly should be, is this sort of thing. And it gives it that armored look where it's not an aggressive ship. This isn't a military ship. This is a science vessel. But it's a science vessel that's clearly just come out of probably the most turbulent period in Federation history since the Romulan War, and it's built to hold its own. You know, a lot like the D, but it speaks that volume. You have the shipyards producing these plates and whatnot, and so it still speaks to that. Oh, and I almost forgot, a lot of ejector things there, and hey, red and green lights, nice. And your little runway to beautiful clamshell doors. I get the runway where it's like to protect the shuttles that go in and out, but like, if you're in a fight, whatever, you're zooming around, you're doing whatnot, surely it's much more dangerous to leave. Like, you gotta kind of stop or fly in a straight line a bit so the shuttles can take off. You can't be like, or else you'll, like, a shuttle will be coming out, and you'll turn down, and you'll just thwack the shuttle and, like, kill everyone inside. Oh, and look, you got another shuttle sciencey thing up there. Actually, they kind of remind me of the impulse crystals, this particular design. Like the TMP-esque impulse crystals. The reason I call them science domes is because that's kind of what Eaglemoss usually labels them as, is some sort of sciencey center. I don't know if that's ever canonically been established. I think that's probably a good look at these two. You know, the Titan. It's a lovely model. It's a fantastic ship. And honestly, I think when it comes to the modern Star Trek ships, like, there's the 32nd Century is the exception, but a lot of times when you get these little things that sneak past from the classic era, the classic designs like the Titan, and actually the Zhang He was designed for a 2002 post-Nemesis video game by god, I think it's Andrew Pober. It's one of those design guys who you know from the TNG, Deep Space Nine, yada yada era. Like, they always tend to feel a lot more Star Trek, and I mean, the other ones are often Star Trek in their own ways, but there's something about just the classic ones that speak the language more, even when you have the same old guys designing the new ships. And so I'm very happy to get the Titan properly canonized. So now the only thing we're missing is the Odyssey class. We got the lower decks canonized the Titan. Picard canonized the Columbia class refit of the NX in Picard's dream therapy session, whatever. It was like in the background. I think it might have actually been an Eaglemoss ship in the background, as tends to happen nowadays. But you just have the Odyssey F, and you better canonize it as the pure Odyssey F. Hang on. This one here, we're getting circulation that next season of Picard is going to show the Enterprise F. It better be this one, because I'm going to cry. I'm not going to get an XL, but by God, this is what's on my Enterprise lineage, and you better not ruin it, Picard. Oh, and one more thing. I've had an idea I want to do. I want to get my partner, who knows like nothing about Star Trek. I've seen TOS, the TOS movies, and 3 episodes of TNG. We think it'd be fun to get them to review these models, like kind of in rapid succession, just do a whole bunch. That could be fun, just like someone who doesn't know Star Trek ship-wise. Because if you know, like, they got the TMP one, sure, they got the Enterprise D, but there's like basically no ships until like Deep Space Nine. They don't know the Dideridax, the Ferengi. They don't know any of that. So if you think that'd be fun, keep telling. Let me know, because like that'll make me more likely to actually sit down with him and do it. But yeah, that's it for today. Canonize this fleet. But yes, I hope you enjoyed. What's my outro? I don't even remember. Doesn't really work anymore, because it's about questions about the models. I mean, just discuss in the comments. It helps. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.